The title is The Girl Who Can Talk to Trees. Chapter 1. The Girl's Discovery. Cindy is 10 years old, a curious and kind-hearted girl, loved to explore the forest and talk to the trees. One day, while wandering in the woods, she discovered a magical garden hidden behind a wall of thorns. She was surprised to see the plants in the garden were enchanted, withered, and unable to bear fruit or flowers. Cindy sat under the oldest Methuselah tree in the garden and listened to the tree's story about the evil wizard's curse. "Oh no!" Cindy exclaimed. "We have to do something to help these poor plants." A farmer boy suddenly appeared, and Cindy shared her discovery with him. His name is Hans. He is 12 years old and has a friendly heart. "I want to help too," Hans said with determination. At that time, a colorful hummingbird flew by and overheard their conversation. "I know a way to break the curse," Hummingbird said, and he explained how to find the secret perfume that releases magic. "Let's go on an adventure together," Cindy suggested with excitement. As they journeyed towards the magical castle, Cindy and Hans had a conversation with Hummingbird about his life as a hummingbird. "I love flying and exploring new places," Hummingbird chirped happily. Chapter 2. The Secret of Magic Fragrance. They soon arrived at the entrance of the castle. However, Cindy and Hans were caught by the wicked wizard's servants.
"You're not going to escape,"
the servants rumbled. "The servants are coming after us from afar." Cindy and Hans ran away because they were afraid of them. Also, Cindy and Hans didn't know what to do because they couldn't get a magic perfume. Then, a hummingbird appeared in the distance. The hummingbird flew in with the magical perfume. With the help of hummingbirds, they were able to leave the castle with a magical perfume. Cindy looked closely at the magic perfume bottle. There was a little perfume in a small bottle. "Hans, look at the picture in this magical perfume bottle. I think this painting flower is alive," said Cindy. "Wow, that's true. Maybe this flower will bring us good luck," says Hans. "I like this flower, too," Cindy smiles at Hans. "Hans, I love the smell of perfume. I think it's probably the scent of this flower," Cindy says. As they sprayed the perfume, Cindy could feel the magic working, and the plants coming back to life. "Look! The garden is alive again," Cindy exclaimed, filled with joy. Chapter 3. The Adventure Begins. After discovering the evil wizard's curse on the enchanted plants in the magical garden, Cindy and Hans knew they had to find the secret to unlocking the magic. "We have to be brave and determined," Hans said, encouraging Cindy. With Hummingbird leading the way, they set out on their adventure again to find the magic perfume. They went on an adventure in another forest, so that they wouldn't be caught by the wizard. As they journeyed through the forest, Cindy and Hans talked about their hopes and dreams. "I want to be a botanist when I grow up," Cindy shared with a smile. "I want to be a farmer and grow healthy crops," Hans said proudly. Hummingbird also joined in, sharing stories of his adventures around the forest. Along the way, they faced many obstacles, including crossing a treacherous river and climbing a steep mountain. "This is tough, but we can do it together," Cindy said, giving Hans a reassuring smile. Finally they arrived at the magical castle, where the evil wizard lived. "Be careful. The wizard is powerful," Hummingbird warned them. Despite the danger, Cindy and Hans bravely entered the castle, determined to find the magic perfume. They searched through the dark, musty halls, avoiding the wizard's traps and tricks. "This is scary, but we have to keep going," Hans whispered to Cindy. After a long search, they finally found the perfume and quickly left the castle, before the wizard could catch them. "We did it!" Cindy exclaimed with joy, holding the precious perfume in her hand. Hans nodded, relieved and proud of their bravery. Chapter 4: Trapped by the Wizard. The wizard's guards caught Cindy and Hans as they were about to leave the castle. The wizard appeared and demanded to know why they were there. Cindy bravely told the wizard that they were trying to save the enchanted plants in the garden. The wizard laughed and said that it was too late and they would never leave the castle alive. And the wizard took the magic perfume bottle from them. Cindy and Hans were so sad that the magic perfume bottle was taken away. Suddenly, the hummingbird appeared, carrying a small bottle of perfume that could release the magic. The hummingbird sprayed it on the wizard, causing her to sneeze and giving Cindy and Hans the chance to escape. As they ran through the castle, Cindy and Hans thanked Hummingbird for saving them. Hummingbird said he was happy to help, but warned them that the perfume could only be used just once. Then, the hummingbird gave Cindy the magical perfume bottle. They had to use it wisely. They ran as fast as they could, trying to get as far away from the castle as possible. Cindy couldn't stop thinking about the plants in the garden, hoping that they were okay. Hans told Cindy not to worry and that they would do everything they could to save them. Meanwhile, the wizard was furious that Cindy and Hans had escaped. So the wizard sprayed a magic perfume on the hummingbird. The perfume was a magic perfume made of poisonous mushrooms. Hummingbirds became distressed after drinking the perfume of poisonous mushrooms. Then the wizard decided to release her black crow servant to follow them and make sure they didn't get too far. The crow flew off into the sky, following Cindy and Hans from above. and the crow sprayed Cindy with poisonous mushroom perfume. Chapter 5: The Battle with the Crow. Cindy gasped for air as she struggled to breathe in the poisonous mushroom perfume. Hans quickly jumped into action and fought off the crow with all his might. "Be careful, Hans," Cindy shouted, worried about his safety. Hans managed to defeat the crow, and Cindy felt relieved as he sprayed the perfume on her, releasing the magic. "Thank you, Hans," Cindy said gratefully as she hugged him tightly. "We make a great team," Hans replied with a smile. As they caught their breath, the enchanted hummingbird flew over to them and chirped happily. "We couldn't have done it without you, Hummingbird," Cindy said, as she waved her hand over her head. Then the hummingbird was dragged to the wizard's castle and flew away, stirring its wings continuously. "We have to keep going and stop the wizard once and for all," Hans said with determination. But the magic perfume that the hummingbird handed over only worked once. The remaining magic perfume is no longer available. They worry about enchanted hummingbirds and garden plants. "We need a perfume that releases magic," says Hans. Cindy nodded in agreement, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They continued on their journey, holding hands and feeling stronger together. Chapter 6: The Enchanted Hummingbird. As they reached the final stages of their journey, Cindy and Hans become increasingly worried about the safety of Hummingbird, the enchanted hummingbird. They discuss their concern for Hummingbird and how much they want to find a way to break the curse. Hans tries to find a cure to free Hummingbird, and Cindy worries about the time they have left to save the plants in the enchanted garden. They continue to brainstorm ideas on how to save both the plants and Hummingbird. Finally, they reach the wizard's castle. They devise a plan to distract her, while Cindy sneaks in to find the cure. However, the plan fails, and the wizard captures them all. And the wizard has already locked up the hummingbird in a cage. Cindy pleads with the wizard to free Hummingbird, but the wizard just laughs at her. Hans tries to fight the wizard, but he is no match for her power. Finally, the wizard casts a spell on Hummingbird and she turns into an enchanted bird with black feathers. Cindy and Hans are heartbroken, and they fear that they have lost their friend forever. But they decide to continue their mission to save the enchanted garden, in honor of Hummingbird and all the other plants and animals affected by the curse. Chapter 7: The Rainbow Valley. As Cindy and Hans were feeling hopeless, they ran to the oldest Methuselah tree for help. The Methuselah tree spoke to them and told them about the Rainbow Valley, where they could find the secret to unlocking the magic. And the tree told them the secret to find the flower of mysterious life and take it to the magic garden. Cindy and Hans were overjoyed and thanked the tree for its help. As they were about to leave, the tree warned them about the dangers ahead and advised them to be careful. Cindy and Hans promised to be cautious and set out on their journey. They walked through the forest and reached the Rainbow Valley, a place they had never seen before. Cindy and Hans were amazed by the beauty of the valley and started looking for the secret to unlocking the magic. They walked around the valley and finally found a small magical flower that was glowing with a bright light. It was the flower that was carved into the magic perfume bottle. Hans, look at this flower. This is the flower we were looking for, cried Cindy. Yes, the flower engraved in the perfume bottle was the flower of this life, says Hans with delight. They picked up the flower, and as soon as they did, they heard a loud noise. The evil wizard had found them and was approaching quickly. Cindy and Hans panicked, but then they remembered the advice of the Methuselah tree and decided to be brave. They took the flower and started running towards the magical garden. Chapter 8: Saving the Garden. Cindy and Hans finally reached the Rainbow Waterfall Valley, amazed by the vibrant colors of the waterfall. They saw the flowers of the garden starting to bloom as they approached, and they knew they had to act fast. Then suddenly a bright light came out of the perfume bottle given by the hummingbird. And, as the light of the perfume wrapped around the rainbow's flowers, it turned into a more brilliant light. As they sprinkled the perfume onto the garden, everything started to come to life. The wizard, sensing the magic being released, appeared before them, but this time, she was different. She looked at Cindy and Hans with a soft expression and asked them why they had come all this way. Chapter 9: The Hummingbird's Return. Cindy and Hans explained how they had learned about the curse and their journey to find the secret to unlocking the magic. The wizard, moved by their determination and courage, lifted the curse on the garden and disappeared. The hummingbird, now free from the curse, flew towards them and perched on Cindy's shoulder. As they watched the garden transform, the oldest Methuselah tree spoke to them.
You have proven that even the smallest of creatures can make a difference.
Cindy smiled and replied, "It was our teamwork and determination that helped us save the garden, and we couldn't have done it without the help of our friends." Hans added, "We also learned that sometimes, the best way to solve a problem is to work together and not give up hope." As they made their way back home, Cindy and Hans knew that they had accomplished something remarkable. They had saved the magical garden and learned valuable lessons that they would carry with them for the rest of their lives. As the hummingbird begins to flutter her wings, Cindy and Hans can't help but feel a sense of relief wash over them. "I'm so glad you're okay, little one," Rilla-English, Cindy says softly as she reaches out to stroke the hummingbird's feathers. Hans nods in agreement, his eyes still glistening with tears of joy. "You're a true hero," he adds, a smile spreading across his face. The hummingbird lets out a soft chirp, as if to thank them for their kind words. Cindy and Hans can't help but smile at the sound. "We couldn't have done it without you," Cindy says, her voice full of gratitude. "You were the one who brought us the secret perfume that saved the garden." Hans nods in agreement. "You're a valuable member of our team," he says, giving the hummingbird a gentle pat on the back. "We couldn't have asked for a better companion." As the hummingbird begins to fly around them, Cindy and Hans watch in amazement. "She's truly magical," Cindy whispers, her eyes wide with wonder. "I'm so grateful that we were able to save her." Hans nods in agreement, a smile still on his face. "It's moments like these that make all of our hard work worth it," he says. "I'm so glad that we were able to restore the magic to the garden and save all of the plants." Cindy smiles, a feeling of warmth spreading through her body. "Me too," she says softly, "and we couldn't have done it without each other." Cindy and Hans walk hand in hand, taking in the sights and sounds of the forest. They can't help but feel a sense of accomplishment for all they have done. "It's amazing what we can achieve when we work together," Cindy says, smiling at Hans. "Yes, and when we believe in ourselves and trust our instincts," Hans replies, nodding in agreement. Chapter 10. Happy Ending. As they make their way back home, they talk about how they can use their newfound knowledge and skills to help others. "We can teach people how to take care of their gardens and the environment," Cindy suggests. "And we can spread the word about the importance of protecting nature," Hans adds. As they approach their house, they are greeted by their families and friends who have been eagerly waiting for their return. They share stories about their adventure and the magic they witnessed, and everyone listens in awe. The next day, Cindy and Hans wake up to a beautiful sunny day. They run to the garden to see the magic they worked so hard to save, and they are met with a sight that takes their breath away. The garden is alive with color and beauty, and they can see that the plants are thriving. They spend the day tending to the garden, feeling grateful for the opportunity to make a difference. As the sun sets, they sit by the garden pond watching the fish swim lazily. "This adventure has changed our lives forever," Cindy says, looking at Hans. "Yes, and we will always remember the lessons we learned," Hans replies, holding Cindy's hand. As they make their way back to the house, they see the hummingbird perched on a branch looking at them with its bright eyes. They smile and wave at it, knowing that it is a reminder of the magical journey they had. They go to bed that night feeling happy and content knowing that they have saved the magical garden and made it beautiful again.
Please subscribe and like. Thank you.